Alright guys, while the coolant is draining, I just wanted to take a minute to show you guys the end result of the parts before we throw them in. So here is the latest box that I restored, the one with the heater core here, and this piece here that goes right in front, and some bolt on here, and supplies the front vents. Turned out pretty good. All of the foam will be kind of pressing against other surfaces, so I don't have any doubts that the foam is going to hold. Same thing with these areas that are going to be sandwiched on other pieces of tubing. The parts that I'm kind of worried about though in this are like this foam here. It's just kind of loose, like there's a bit of a gap. And on the other side of this foam, there's actually felt. So it's just meant to kind of loosely block some air and have enough, I guess, less friction so that, what am I trying to say? It's supposed to block some air, but not be super tight fitting, because otherwise this wouldn't be able to rotate freely here on the air direction changer. And so I originally had this foam here actually as the medium type of foam, and I noticed upon installing that it was too tight and I actually couldn't get this yellow cylinder to spin. So I switched this out and I'm using the small thinner gauge, I guess you could say, thinner gauge foam for all of this internal foam. Otherwise though, I mean, it turned out pretty good. It's as clean as, you know, I cared to make it. I kind of used a toothbrush and Simple Green and just brushed the heck out of the inside. Here also, if I can get some lighting here for you guys. Actually, what am I doing? I have a freaking light right here. There you go. So, yeah, this turned out pretty well too. I'm hoping again that the foam will hold up. But, you know, in terms of how the hinges are and everything, it turned out good, I think. Yeah. So, that's the first box here. The one I did before was, I think, the hardest restoration out of the three, and that was the evaporator here. So this thing was pretty crazy to take apart and put back together. Mostly new parts were used, except for the foam that they lined the inside of this thing with. Oops. The inside of here is all lined with a foam that's kind of like a cooler, like the kind you would find like a styrofoam that a cooler's made out of, because it's meant to be waterproof, I think, so that all of the condensation can run down and out of the tube. And you know, of course, the harness was reused. The little circuit board here for the air conditioning was reused. This foam here I thought was still pretty good, so I kind of just flicked all of the dust off of it, and I'm going to use that, reuse this guy to seal against the outer edge of this opening here. And this mesh was cleaned up. This thermistor is new and attached properly this time, because before it wasn't. And this pressure switch for the high pressure line is also new. So yeah, hopefully everything is working. These two guys that are, I think, resistors, I hope they are working. Yeah, and then pretty much the same process as the other boxes, derusting these little clips in some muriatic acid, and then etch primering them and painting them with that silver color that I like. And yeah, see the clips here. And then on this side here, I think I showed you already, but I did all of the hardware here on this side. And then this one here too, these little clips that hold the actuating wires. And then lastly, on the first box that I did here, the blower motor box, I didn't go quite as intense actually as I did on the other boxes. So on this one, see some of this hardware and stuff still has some surface rust on there. If I can get it to focus, I might restore those, but I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I should. I didn't have it off in the first place, so you guys know me. I'm kind of lazy if I have to do stuff more than once. But I did do it right on all of these clips because I think those were pretty bad originally. But that is the status right now of the 3 boxes that are about to be thrown back in. One thing though that I wanted to mention while I fix this piece of foam is that I'm trying to figure out some kind of MacGyvered filter solution, because there's no filter for the air that comes in into these cars. So I didn't know whether I should get like a kind of a cheap air filter here that I could put on and just change every 6 months or a year or whatever it is. And then also one here, maybe just using like electrical tape and then taping a thin filter, but you know, thin enough to where it doesn't really restrict the air too bad and make the motor work harder. Yeah, so I'm thinking about something like that, just to cut down on the amount of dust that comes back in here, especially because there's still a ton of dust inside the car no matter how much I clean it. So you know, it's gonna get dirty again. It might not accumulate like 30 years worth of dust, but it's still gonna get dusty at some point. And you know, you can't really do everything to make it perfect, but yeah, I want to try to at least kind of keep it clean. One downside to all of this though is that I'm going to not be cleaning the piping that goes actually under the dash and stuff, because I don't want to take all of that out right now. So those will still be dusty in there, but at least the source of the air, which is all of these parts that I've cleaned so far, will be blowing, you know, clean air up and through there. So whatever's dust, you know, whatever dust is in there will probably just be stuck to the walls of the tubing that's in there right now. So yeah, not 100%, you know, in terms of cleanliness and everything, but I think 90% based on all of the junk that I took out of there. Alright, so after like 2 hours of struggling, I got the heater core box back in. And the reason it took so long is because the foam strips kept shifting around, and this vent here, which supplies, or that tubing which supplies these 2 vents, was really hard to get on. I actually had to take off the under panel here, like I originally had to do actually to get this box out. And I got this this foam seal all situated how I want it also. So yeah, everything from the top here looks good also, and I'm really happy, except for the fact that it took a really long time. But heater core is not broken, so that's good. The bad news is that I found some more foam up here of the kind of nasty kind of degraded foam. So hopefully I can blow some of that out and it won't loosen anymore in the future. But aside from that, I am ready to put the other 2 boxes in. And those are thankfully a lot easier to put in. The hardest part I think on those was taking the harnesses off. So the other 2 boxes are installed right now, and before I go any further, I thought up just a makeshift filtration for the air that's coming in from the inside of the cabin, and then also the air that's coming from the outside. So I'm just using this kind of home, really cheap filter element for a home AC system. One side it just has a plastic mesh, and then just for reinforcement, and then the other side is the polyester or whatever this is. So yeah, I just on this face here for the cabin air, I just used electrical tape to attach it here, and then for the top, plastic side down. Yeah, for the top, I just use this, and I'm gonna sandwich it up in between the hole that goes out of the top of the firewall for the outside air. So I thought it was a good idea just to add a bit more filtration. Well, actually there is no filtration, so I guess it's a good idea to add some kind of filtration. Everything is back in at the moment and operational, at least in terms of all the switches and the fan. I got that guy going there. And this panel here, I have to thank a member of the NorCal A86 community, Nikki, for selling this to me. And it's not Zenki. I don't know if this is the Koki version or if it's just a reproduction one, but the Zenki one has the words like fresh and you know, different words and things here. And this one is also, if you could see here, reinforced, because it's commonly a weak point on the heater switch here. It puts a lot of pressure on just this little plastic clip right here that holds everything together. So another way to do it might be even to put like a nut and bolt between here. And also another part that seems to be weak is back here. You can't really see it, but where this black wire comes in and connects tends to flex a lot too when you move the switch right here over to heat. So that might be another part that could be reinforced too. I don't really know how you would do that. Maybe a lot of like JB Weld or something to just wrap it and stiffen it up, but maybe that could be a project for the future. As of right now though, it seems fine. You just have to kind of, you know, be a little bit careful, because this knob does work on 2 switches. One to change those flappy vents inside the heater core box, and then another one, it actuates the heater core valve in the engine bay. So it's like double duty for the switch. But yeah, as of right now, everything is looking great. And it was a lot of struggle actually to get these 2 boxes back in, more than I thought. When I first put the evaporator box in, it popped out this gasket here on the high pressure line. So I had to undo everything after the fact. When I came up here and checked and saw that it was popped out, I had to redo everything again and take the box all the way out and then put this middle box back in. And the blower box here gave me a lot of difficulty in that I had to remove the buzzer. It's kind of weird, but I still have the or I still kept the buzzer in the car all this time, even though it's pretty annoying. So that had to be removed to kind of save space to shimmy it back up there. And this metal bracket ring was a freaking pain to get in here.
what I did was once you stretch the band out to get it around the opening, I used one of these little I don't know what this is called, a little panel removal tool, and I hooked the back edge of the other side of the ring while pushing in with the screw, and then doing it up that way, and that finally let me kind of get some thread started on the back, because there's a welded in nut on the back of there. But anyways, yeah, if you ever want to do it, you just kind of have to open it up and just reverse track everything that you do, because there's not too much detail, but there's enough detail in being able to put everything back where it belongs. So yeah, I hope you like that so far. On to the next thing now.